Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Woke family, man. It's been a long time. But listen, man, we're back. You feel what I'm saying? What is up, woke family? It's your boy, Woke Ebucks, and I'm back again with another live stream. Listen, we're gonna be getting into it today. You feel what I'm saying? Andrew Tate, Piers Morgan, a lot of other videos that we're gonna be watching and reacting to. You feel what I'm saying? Let's get into this, man. Y'all let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Let's chat. Let's have a fun time today. And let's get into this, man. All right, let's get into it.
Well, good evening, London. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Have you ever heard of Mr. Beast? What about PewDiePie? How about Keemstar, Logan Paul, Jake Paul? The answer might well be no. You haven't heard of them. But if you've got kids, you will definitely have heard of them. And they most certainly have. They're just a tiny handful of the legions of digital personalities whose videos are viewed by literally billions of young people across the world. Their endorsements are worth millions in sales. Their opinions can instantly reshape conversations in schools, universities, and across social media. They're more influence than most musicians, soap stars, sports stars, columnists, lawmakers. But unlike those power brokers of the past, the politicians and cultural stars who could set the social agenda, these people seem to exist in a parallel universe. Their views go largely unchallenged, shared only as bite-sized clips. Their digital businesses often operate beyond the scrutiny of normal.
Pierce, what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? Let's skip, man. You're chatting right now, brother. You're chatting.
If someone gives, a person can give
Voluntary authority is not authority. Fit the ideal model of the platforms that censored him. Let's go through some.
Sure.
Right? Do you think women are the property of men?
No. The point I was making.
Why have you said they are?
Because I made a religious point.
Authority implies that you have the ability to control someone.
No, authority implies that I have the moral right to sit and say that that's an irresponsible thing to do and I'm responsible for
That's not what authority means. I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to point out that's not what authority means.
If someone gives, a person can give
voluntary authority is not authority.
No.
This is the problem with Pierce, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Woke family, this is the problem with Pierce. Pierce will literally let somebody talk for 2 seconds and then he'll cut him off. You ask the question, let the man talk. Let him speak. Let him air out his opinion. Let Andrew air out his opinion, and then you can counter it. You're just listening to respond instead of listening to understand. That's the problem. When we have conversations with people, we got to be able to have a conversation and be mature enough to listen, even if we disagree, right? Even if we disagree, because I'm going to tell you something right now. There's always something we can learn from the other person, regardless of how we feel about that person. You feel what I'm saying? But let's get back into it, man.
No, but that's the point. If
it's
a
not.
woman, Piers.
Andrew, it's not.
And this is the thing that's interesting, Piers. Please let me finish.
Yeah, but you're behaving like a politician. But hang on. You could say I'm interrupting.
You do.
But if
you are
answering
interrupting.
a different question to the one I asked you.
Fine.
No.
The
You're
point-
weaponizing the weaponizing, which doesn't exist.
No problem. If someone comes to me and says I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this.
Andrew, you're simply wrong.
If that's what you believe, Piers,
That's what I believe.
I don't believe in things that take power away.
Yeah, you shouldn't believe in things that take power away from you. Anything that has the ability to take the power away from you is literally making you weaker. Especially as a man, it's your duty to become more masculine every single day. That's how serious it is. If you're not working on trying to elevate, if you're not working on trying to make yourself into a better version of yourself, what are you doing? You're not leveling up. You're only moving backwards. We got to move forward. Come on, man.
There is not an eminent doctor in the world
Piers,
that would agree with you.
Piers,
Do you think you know more than doctors?
I can't become clinically depressed.
Facts.
Why do you know?
Because I don't believe in it.
Amen.
It's a lively stuff. I also wasn't sure if I should be interviewing him at all. If he was so unpleasant, as so many people said, well, why extend his profile and give him a platform? But the fact is that ship had already sailed. Every teenager in the country knows Andrew Tate. It's just a lot of the parents who don't. And since that interview, Andrew has been returned to Twitter. Its new owner, Elon Musk, is determined to protect free speech online. Many young people, especially boys, have literally stopped me in the street since that first interview to ask me about Andrew Tate. I've been staggered, honestly, by the response that I've had. What does it say about society that people like Andrew Tate can reach so many more people than conventional
Yes, you're just talking right now, bro. Let's move on.
stars or journalists even?
My father was black chess player. He was in the Air Force. He met my mother here in England. And then I was raised initially in the United States. And then I moved to Luton, England when I was younger. So I've moved around a lot. I've lived an eclectic life in many different scenarios. We've moved around. I've done a lot of different things, lived a lot of different experiences. And
what
I'm thankful for
nationality
it.
are you? I mean, what do you identify as?
I consider myself British now, but I will say that part of me, the patriotic Brit inside of me, is devastated by the state of the UK currently, and I want to make that very clear. The patriotic Brit in me truly loves this country, and seeing what's happening to it, especially to our major cities, is almost heartbreaking to watch in real time.
In what way?
It's falling.
What Andrew's trying to say is that like the UK is becoming bad when it comes to, like, for example, let's say you're a rich man and you're walking down the streets of London and you're wearing a $500,000 watch. Chances are you're probably going to get stabbed to death over that watch. That's how serious it is, right? It's become more of a degenerate society. Some people believe that it's because of the clouds being present all the time, which obviously affects people's moods, makes them sadder, makes them more depressed. They get fat, they get out of shape. They don't want to go to the gym. They don't want to get their bag up. They don't want to do things to self-improve. Therefore, it's becoming more like America, except for without the guns. Or if they do have guns, it's very, very minimal. But let's continue, though.
Falling apart. This is a failed society. By every metric you can possibly measure, it is absolutely and utterly failing. The cost of living crisis, the crime rates, everything is falling apart. If you compare it to a country like the United Arab Emirates, you compare it to a city like Dubai, London, which should be the greatest city on earth, is failing in absolutely every metric because our leadership is a joke. If you look at Dubai and the UAE, the leadership there is so flawless, so genuinely genius. They saw ahead and have built almost a utopia. And then you look at London, you can't even walk around with a watch on. It's disgusting.
You know, it's very interesting. I was in Qatar.
Bro, listen. I didn't watch this I did not watch this before we got into it. So if you think I was watching it, listen, this is just off the dome. I kind of have an idea of what, you know what I'm saying? Let's continue, though.
For the World Cup. Obviously, a lot of people in England taking a very censorious moral view about the World Cup being in the Middle East at all because of their laws against homosexuality, because of their treatment of migrant workers. I've got to say, not that I don't share the concerns about those things, of course I do, but I found a lot of the virtue signaling, and I think that's what it was in many cases, about the whole region actually quite distasteful. Because when I was in Qatar, I thought the World Cup was fantastically well run, incredibly good experience. But a lot of Qataris were saying to me, you know, there's this weird, quaint feeling back in your country that we all want to aspire to behave like that we all want to live in a country with massive drug problems, with massive knife crime issues, with scenes like the European Championships final where it's complete lawlessness going on, where stuff like the NHS, the system of healthcare, is basically collapsing, where the education system is dropping behind, so on and so on and so on. And it's a really interesting perspective. They were like, I know you all think that we want to have your form of democracy and your form of life, but actually we're fine, thanks.
Absolutely, because it's a failed society and it's godless. I think it's disgusting. We leave our old people to rot in old people's homes, and then we sit there and say we don't have enough money for nurses. I understand this nurse strike very well and how frustrating it can be if you walk into a hospital and the nurse is not prepared to work. But the nurses would be prepared to work at the current wage if they believed this country was spending its money prudently. When you see this country spending its money and just absolutely wasting it, pulling it out of thin air to fund proxy wars, God knows where, that has nothing to do with them. Of course, as a nurse, you're going to stand up and say, well, can't I get a pay rise? This country has failed on every metric. And especially our major cities. I've just come to London now. I made it very clear to my private jet pilot. I said, fuel the jet and leave it running, because the second I'm finished talking to Piers, I'm leaving this cesspit. It's disgusting. This country, and London as a whole, 10 years ago, was one of the most hospitable cities on earth. Now you cannot walk around safely with a watch on. And you're a full-grown man. You're a full-grown adult. When's the last time there's been a serious problem in your life that you completely ignored and it fixed itself? Never, ever. What are any of our politicians doing to fix any of the problems we're genuinely facing?
Well, I saw today that Sadiq Khan is planning to run again for the third term of office as mayor. All I can say is everyone I know who's had any experience of crime at any level in London in the last few years has had a bad experience of it, of the way it's been handled. You know, I mean, I can give an example. I can reveal this now. I've talked for 18 months. I got a specific death threat on one of my son's Instagram pages in public, a public comment. And it was very specific about what this person was going to do. I couldn't use the police to evade him. We know where you live. We're going to come and kill you. And then a second one threatening my son and his mother, my ex-wife. I called in the police. I thought,
Let me say this one thing real quick, all right? when it comes to people who deliver death threats, be very, very careful because the person you're delivering a death threat to, you don't know who that person knows. You don't know what that person could do to you. Be very, very careful because you're not playing with only their life, but you're playing with yours as well, too. It's a 50-50. It's like a catch 50, right? Or catch 22. You have to be very, very careful. That's not only is that disgusting, but it's very disrespectful. But I understand that we have evil people in this world. But with that being said, be very, very careful because you don't know tomorrow. What you may say today might end up getting you in trouble 5 years from now, 10 years from now, tomorrow, a month, Be very, very careful. Let's continue, though.
Not having them putting death threats on my sons.
For sure.
I called the police. Police investigated this. They arrested somebody over a year ago.
What did I tell you?
And then I heard from the police this week that despite 18 months of investigation, of a publicly posted comment on Instagram threatening to kill me on my son's Instagram, that they will not be able to pursue the case. Now,
that's ridiculous.
I thought, imagine, I'm high.
What if he actually goes through and tries to actually take up Piers? That's an L.
High profile. This was a front page of the Sun newspaper. This
If
story.
that same man called a transgender person the wrong pronouns,
He's going to jail.
he would be in trouble.
Right.
Facts.
So doesn't it just show how absolutely
Hypocrisy. Haram.
asinine and banal our legal system has become? That would
Facts.
never happen in a country like United Arab Emirates, the place I'm now residing in, Dubai, where the leadership has common sense. And I'm saying that all the leadership structures, doesn't matter if it's labor or conservative, across all of it in this nation have completely and utterly failed. Sadiq Khan is a loser because when you have a city which is losing, which London is losing in all metrics across its competitive cities around the world, and you're in charge of it,
Facts.
by extension, you're a loser. I will tell you right now, instead of virtue signaling and giving Qatar a hard time over their religious beliefs, what we should be doing is a treaty with Qatar to build a prison deep in the desert. Make me mayor of London. We'll make a prison deep in the desert, and if you're caught with a knife or robbing someone, you can go do 25 years
Facts.
with 1 meal a day in the scorching sun.
No, don't even give them any meals. Sometimes you got to let them suffer a little bit, right?
And then what we'll do is we'll put cameras there and we'll interview you once a week and broadcast that out to the nation and see if you change your mind and make people understand that this is a country that should be respected and our laws should be respected. Instead, what happens? What has Sadiq or any of the people in charge of this country actually done to fix any of our issues besides sit around and talk? Nothing. None of them have done anything, but they seem...
Listen to me carefully, right? This is exactly why we need masculine men to take control of the world. We don't need feminine, weak soy boys. We don't need feminine, weak soy boys to be taking control of this world. Because this is exactly what happens. People get killed, people get shot, people get stabbed. It's not a joke. It's real life.
Ultra concerned with finding money for proxy wars, ultra concerned with rainbow flags in another country that is uninterested in them.
Exactly.
And their priorities are completely messed up. Of course the ambulance people are. Of course the ambulance drivers are striking. Of course the nurses are striking. Nobody cares about the most important things in this nation. It's a failing country in real time, and that's why I've left.
What about the specific allegation? By the way, I don't disagree with a lot of that because I do think this country is in big trouble. And I do think that
So
one
is
of
America.
the problems is people think if they do have a crime against them, nobody cares anymore.
I know nobody cares. I have specific examples and people who I know personally. Absolutely and utterly nobody cares. I was in Harrods yesterday and someone tried to rob someone's watch in the middle of a store. I walk around with I have a security team of 6 full-grown men, plus me and my brother, 8 military-age males, all over 110 kilos, big men, just so I can walk around this city. It's absolutely unacceptable.
What about the issue of race? And I mentioned that in the context of the Harry and Meghan ongoing debate, their war with the royal family, war against the monarchy, their specific, constant referencing to the fact that they believe they were driven out of here because of racism in Britain. What do you make of
Andrew's
that
going to
debate?
say.
That's absolute fallacy.
And you're from a mixed race
Correct.
background yourself.
Correct. I'm from a mixed race background myself, and while we're discussing the leaders of the UK, although I do think they're doing a terrible job, it's kind of hard for Meghan to say that the UK is a racist country when the leader of the UK is darker skinned than her, and the mayor of London is darker skinned than her, and I am a person who's probably darker skinned than her, and I've never experienced any kind of bigotry against myself besides the fact I'm a straight male. I'll get bigotry for that before I'll get bigotry for my skin color. I think it's just a cop-out, and her not wanting to be perspicacious and self-reflective enough to understand that she has attacked an age-old institution, and there are people who are very patriotic about that institution, and by attacking it and bringing a degree of distaste to it, there's gonna be people who don't like her. And if you're a dislikable person, you can't just instantly stand up and say it's because of my skin color. It might be because of your actions and some of the things you've said.
I mean, I think there's probably no doubt she's had racism on social media because it's
Who hasn't, Piers?
It's assessed.
You probably have.
Well, as I said just now, I've had death threats on social media, and no one seemed to care very much.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably inarguable. My issue with what they've both been doing is if you're going to make allegations against an institution like the royal family and the monarchy, you've got to actually provide some evidence. You can't just spray gun this thing out there and say, well, somebody was racist.
Yeah, and airing dirty laundry is never going to be respected by the populace, and being a tattletale is never going to be respected by the populace. And I think the problem with the modern world we're living in is a lot of age-old traditions are being destroyed in real time. It doesn't matter what the tradition is. Most of them are being eroded. And something like the British royal family, which has been around for a very long time, is an age-old tradition. One of the things holding the UK together, one of the last things we have, to sit and detriment it and to sit and insult it and to give away secrets from inside of it and try and paint a negative image of it is going to upset a lot of people, and you have to be prepared for that backlash. You can't say I've done things that upset people, but it's nothing to do with what I've done. It's purely because of my skin color. Also, it's kind of ironic that she's doing that because she's not particularly dark-skinned. It's kind of funny to
I mean, look,
watch her sit and say,
I
race,
think the truth is, I don't
she looks
know
more white than she
look,
does
you
black.
can say that, I can't. The reality of it is, I just don't know what the specifics of the racism she
Look at her
says
skin.
she's had because we've
Look at
not
her skin,
seen
chat.
any evidence.
The
to support
universe
them.
is a funny place, Piers. If you're looking for something, you're going to find it, right? When I got canceled, when they attacked me unfairly, lied about me across the entire mainstream media, deleted me from social media so I couldn't defend myself, and lied about me repeatedly, I could have stood up and said, it's because I'm brown. I didn't do that. I sat and said, okay, there's people who misunderstand my message. My message is a positive one. People misunderstand me. Let me self-reflect and understand that, yes, perhaps this said a long time ago was said in the wrong way. Perhaps this was misunderstood. Perhaps people don't understand this. I could have just copped out and could have just been refusing to self-reflect on any level and said, it's because I'm brown, that's why they did it. But that's not the mature way to be as an adult.
What did you think of the Jeremy Clarkson furore where he wrote...
Before we get into Jeremy Clarkson, this is why I respect Andrew Tate, bro. I'm going to be honest. One thing he said in a video was that every single thing that happens to you in your life is completely your fault. Let me repeat that again. Everything that happens in your life, every little thing is your fault. If you don't learn how to take accountability for your life, you will never be successful. Let me say that one more time. If you don't learn how to take accountability for your life, you will never be successful. Let's continue.
Well, I think most people, but including him belatedly after he'd published it and written the column, he did make an analogy from a Game of Thrones scene, which most people, I think, did find crossed a line and was deeply offensive. I think it crossed a line. What do you think?
Yeah, I understand why people feel that. But when you attack an institution as old as the British royal family, you're attacking patriotism in and of itself for one of the most respected countries, or previously most respected countries on earth, and you're going to have some visceral reactions. Perhaps Jeremy Clarkson is too famous and too well-renowned to say those kind of things, but there's a lot of people who genuinely feel that way, and that's why he said it. And this is what happens when you attack age-old institutions in any country.
Should he have apologized?
That's a good question. It looks like he did. Personally, I think as a man, you should stand up, say what you mean.
Yeah, stand on what you said.
I don't think you should ever apologize for anything you've ever said.
Facts.
Even me.
What if you say something truly very offensive and you actually do regret it?
If you truly regret it, then yeah, okay, you can apologize. But if at the time you meant it, then the best thing you can do is say, look, I have just changed my mind. I no longer feel that way, but at the time, that's how I felt. And I'm the person who says what he feels, and that's what I felt at the time, and I apologize that offended you.
Andrew Tate, we'll be back with you after the break. We'll talk to you about Twitter again. Elon Musk restoring you to his platform. Has it calmed you down? Are you as controversial on there? Are you mindful that you're only one false move like Kanye West as a reward for conquest? He tweeted, I'm the most searched man. Stated, then banned again for posting a swastika inside a Star of David. Andrew Tate is back too for now, anyway. He was first removed in 2017 for saying women should bear some responsibility as victims of rape. And he hasn't exactly been shy since his reprieve. Let's take a look. Genghis Khan had endless women and 200 children as a reward for conquest. He tweeted, I'm the most searched man on the planet. I've conquered Earth. I'm the highest status male on the planet. Females do not expect loyalty from me. They only expect that of lesser men. Then there was this: imagine having less than 10 children because you're a who doesn't have 4 wives, genetic failures. Finally, if a girl follows me and she's hot and I see a single picture of her in a private jet,
I like this
it's
guy.
block. Women can't afford jets. Women are all brokies. Why are you flying around on some man's jet? You should have been a virgin when I met you. Haram.
Haram.
Tate. Now, you're getting very near the knuckle with some of those tweets.
Am I?
You tell me.
I don't think so. I think people can understand they're semi-satirical. I think people can
Do
understand.
you mean them as jokes or do you mean them?
It's not that I don't mean them as jokes. I mean, they're a overall public commentary and observation. I do mean what I say. If I were to see a girl on a private plane on Instagram, for example, I would assume.
This is the problem, right? Even if it's a joke, understand that there's always a level of truth to it. And I stand by what he's saying. I agree.
That a man put her on that private plane. I would not assume she bought it herself.
What if it was
Perhaps that makes me misogynistic.
What if
It is
it was
what it is. We're all
Ariana Grande or
misogynists.
Beyonce?
Well, that's
I
slightly
mean-
different, isn't it?
Why?
Because they're famous and very
They're
rich.
women?
Yeah, of course, and they're famous and very rich. But
So
if
there
I,
are lots of women
if I
you
saw,
wouldn't think that if you actually saw them on a
if I
private
saw,
plane.
well, if I saw a 19-year-old girl from Moldova where the average wage is $200 a month and she was on a private jet, I would assume that with the balance of probabilities, considering I'm an adult, it's very likely because of her beauty, a man has put her on that private plane. Yes,
Big
if that makes
facts.
me misogynistic instead of just perspicacious enough to understand how the world works. So be it. I'm a realist.
Should you be such a generalist about these things?
Well, you have to be a generalist. when
Yes,
you're
you
looking
do.
for in the balance of probabilities and trying to find balance in the world. You have to be a generalist. In general, if I stroke a lion, it's going to bite my hand. In general, there might be a nice one, but I don't want to find out. So that's how the world works.
You've
Exactly.
praised the Taliban in the past. Would you do so again tonight?
The world is not black and white. The world is gray. It's very difficult to sit and make black and white assumptions about anything. To sit and say that the Taliban are completely and utterly evil and we're completely and utterly good, as you just discussed with the moral high ground. I believe that the Taliban bring law and order. It may not be the law and order we like, but it's a form of law and order, and humans usually gravitate
What about
towards...
their treatment of women? I mean, only tonight they have banned any women from going to university.
Fantastic. Let's...
You know what the thing is? So people like Piers are going to try to hop on this moral high ground and make it seem as if the Taliban shouldn't ban women from going to school. But let me ask you guys this question, right? Family, right, chat? Who are we as people to tell the Taliban, or who are we as people to tell other countries how to live their life? Who are we? We in America are already going through a lot of demonic things that are happening in this world, like the indoctrination of young children into the rainbow community, if you know what I'm saying. A lot of things. And then you wonder why these children are messed up at 5 years old, 10 years old. We have to figure out our own problems before we tell the rest of the world how to live their life. We're not living in those countries. We don't understand the dynamics. So why do you feel the need, right? Why do you feel the need to tell another country how to live their life when you're not even going through what they're going through? It's not your business. Mind your business and stay in your lane. That's sad, bro. Literally. Feel me? Let's get back into it.
Let's get the feminists to go and teach them a lesson.
Facts.
The feminists are so tough, and they stand up and say they can do anything a man can do. Let's arm them up and send them to Afghanistan. I'm sure they'll fix it.
No, but it's not. It's a serious matter, isn't it? That women don't get the education they deserve.
And that's a very serious answer. If women are just as capable as men in terms of combat, like feminists pretend they are, then they can go over there and they can deal with the
A
Taliban.
lot of women do go to combat.
Oh, exactly. So they can go deal with the Taliban. It's nothing to do with me. They can stand up and fight for their own rights.
Surely you wouldn't defend the Taliban banning women from university.
It's saying
not
it's
our
nothing to
problem.
do with me, Piers. It's
not our
absolutely
problem.
nothing
What
to do
about
with
the
me.
Afghan women?
There's nothing to
It's
do
not
with
our
me on
problem.
any level.
You don't have a view?
I have a view. My view is that people naturally gravitate towards law and order, and if you didn't have the Taliban, you'd have different warlords operating in lawlessness, and there would be no way to prevent your store or your market stall getting completely robbed by someone with an AK-47, and people are going to
Exactly.
gravitate towards a form of law and order. America left. They left a power vacuum, and the power vacuum is now full.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
Okay, well,
But I
there we go.
do think the banning of women from university in Afghanistan is utterly horrific.
And I think
not our
the feminists
problem.
are going to arm themselves. They're going to show us that they can do anything.
Let the
a man
feminists
can
go
do. They're
fight,
gonna
since
go there
that's
and
what they're
combat
fighting
and teach
for.
Taliban a lesson.
Why can't you just say on that, you know what, it's completely wrong?
Because
It's not our
my
place to
point.
say it.
I don't understand.
But
the
it makes me think, it'll make your critics think that you don't think it's wrong.
I don't
They
care
could
about my
ban all
critics.
men. They could ban all short
But they're
people.
not. They're only banning women.
Correct. They could ban all short people. They could ban all people with long hair.
And
None of it's anything to do with me. So they can do whatever they want. I'm not going to go to war with the Taliban.
But you've just literally spent an impassioned first segment comparing the way, for example, Dubai handles law and order
Correct.
to this country.
Correct.
So you do express views about different laws.
Absolutely, both places.
So when I put to you a law that basically bans women from being educated, it's not. Why is it a problem for you to say, you know what, it's wrong?
Because it's not
They're
our place.
both places I've resided in, Dubai and London, so I have personal experience. I can give my personal opinion, but like I said, it has absolutely nothing to do with what the Taliban decide to do inside of Afghanistan. And if they decide that's the most prudent way to run their society,
let them
then
do it.
we have two choices. We can either go over there and start another war that we shouldn't be involved in and waste a bunch of life, or we can sit and say, it's up to them, they should govern themselves, they're people, we're no better than them, and they've decided to live their lives a particular way, and that's how they're gonna live it. Like I said, if feminists are very upset and they're very
let them go
disgusted by the fact that in Afghanistan, women cannot go to school, I've been told repeatedly by feminists that they're just as capable as men in all realms, and I expect them to arm themselves and fly over to Afghanistan and fix it.
They're not ready
like
for
a
that.
lot of women have done in combat.
Good. Congratulations. Go fight. Well, this is the thing that's very interesting, because when you talk about ideas, it's not even just about Afghanistan and feminism. You talk about ideas, they must all be defended at some point. There has to come down to violence. The world is backed by violence. Nobody wants to talk about this. It doesn't matter what it is. If you have a disagreement between two parties, eventually if the disagreement continues, it ends up in violence. Feminism is defended by men. Men stand up and defend feminism.
Exactly.
Not feminists themselves,
They're not ready for that
because they're incapable
conversation.
of violence. And we're in a situation now where you're saying that we should send men to go and fight for feminism.
No.
Why? It's not a man's problem.
No, I think, I'm
If
saying
feminists
that,
believe
well,
this-
I think men can be feminists too, because if feminism believes in equality for women,
It's not
I'll
about
sign up to
equality.
it.
I will give Piers this one thing though. In this second interview or third interview, he's tried way much better to at least allow Andrew to talk instead of trying to cut him off all the time. So kudos to you for that for sure.
I don't agree with radical feminists who hate men. Right? To me, the radical anything to me is a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think most feminism in the West currently is radical.
Well, some of it is, no question.
Absolutely, but this is my point. My point is that the Taliban are going to do whatever the Taliban decide to do. If I'm going to fly over to another country, I will respect their laws and customs. It's not my job to come along and tell other people how to live. I don't believe I have a moral high ground in that degree. And if people are genuinely upset and disgusted by it, the bottom line in most disagreements on the earth is violence. People who feel like they should go and fix it, then fix it with violence, then it can be the feminists who feel so outraged by it. But it's funny, they don't comment on these subjects, feminists. They seem to instead attack the Western male for some reason.
You deleted a video in which you praised ISIS. Why?
I don't know which video you're talking about in particular. It might have been a video from a long time ago. But in general, I understand that, like I said, the world is not black and white. The world is gray areas, and Western imperialism as a whole has been causing more problems than it's ever fixed, and it's disgusting. And I don't know the exact video you're referencing, but sometimes when an underdog destroys a Western imperialist, I have a degree of, I wouldn't say satisfaction, but
Satisfaction?
No, but there's certainly a degree of,
The way ISIS
I don't know the particular.
conducted themselves.
I don't know about the particular video we're talking
Well, ISIS were one of the most deadly terror groups in the world.
Absolutely.
They committed a series of appalling atrocities.
Sure.
Killing
Interesting.
innocent people left, right, and
Completely.
center.
Yeah.
How could you possibly have satisfaction?
Well, if it's the video I'm recollecting, if it's the video we're talking about, it's about the fact that I believe ISIS was funded by the West and created by the West in the first place. And it wasn't a degree of satisfaction like I'm happy ISIS exists. It was a commentary on the world.
Well, here's
and the
what you
fact-
said. ISIS are the real Muslims because ISIS do exactly what the book says. Kill everyone who's not a Muslim and chop people's heads off and set them on fire and be raging lunatics. But all the other Muslims go, they're not real Muslims because I read the book and ignore those parts. Well, then you're not an effing Muslim because you're ignoring the effing book.
That's an interesting point you've just raised, because I am now Islamic. And it's funny because I used to be an atheist, and when you're an atheist, you believe that religion causes more problems than it fixes, and then you come to a realization and you start to learn the truth of yourself and the truth of God, and you realize that religion is actually the cure for most of the problems in the world, and godlessness is the problem in the world. So that is something I will apologize for and admit I was wrong about, because I was atheistic, and now as a Muslim, I understand that's absolutely not the case. If that's the particular video you're talking about, then there's...
Well, that's really interesting. So you regret saying that?
Yeah, because you learn and you grow and you evolve, as I said. At the time, I believed it because I didn't believe in God at the time. It was a very long time ago. It's actually kind of a testament to you, Piers. You managed to find the oldest possible videos of me that have ever existed. But at the time, I was atheistic.
Well, no, I was curious because you have recently converted to Islam.
Correct.
So these questions, I think, are pertinent to your conversion.
Absolutely.
As to what you actually believe as a practicing Muslim now.
Yeah, I believe that Islam is beautiful. I believe it's the last true religion on earth. It's certainly the last respected religion on earth. And I felt differently inside since I've converted. And I think it has the solutions to a lot of the problems we're facing in the world today. That particular video was once again satirical. A lot of people watching this would not have seen it. They would not have seen the joke element of it. It's fine, but
It's not funny, though, is
no.
it?
Well, you know, it's like most of the time, as we discussed in our first interview with me, things are taken out of context, short form, et cetera, et cetera. But all in all, you could say the same things about Christians. If you were to read the Old Testament and say, stick to the Old Testament, you'd kill anyone who works on a Sunday. So it's not applicable to
You
read the
wouldn't
books of the Bible.
countenance violence.
Say again?
You don't countenance violence.
I absolutely do not countenance violence. When I was talking about violence being the bottom line the bottom line decider between disagreeing points of view, it's not I'm calling for violence. I'm just making a commentary on how the world genuinely functions.
But when you use a word like satisfaction, you understand that people will watch that and think, how can you possibly find any form of terrorism satisfying?
I don't find any form of terrorism satisfying. I don't find Western terrorism satisfying either. I don't think it's satisfying that we managed to find $500,000 per bomb to drop on some farmer who makes $4 a day under the name of freedom.
Well,
And we can't seem to pay our nurses enough to do their jobs. I don't find any kind of terrorism. And it's actually very interesting you talk about the word terrorism. Terrorist and freedom fighter, good guy and bad guy, all of this is subjective. There are people who believe that the West are the biggest terrorists on the earth. There are people who believe that America causes more wars than anyone else, and they've killed more people than anyone else.
I will say this in addition to what Andrew's saying, right? Andrew Tate, shout out to Andrew Tate. If you ask most people from foreign countries what their thoughts are on the United States, they will have nothing but negative things to say. Period. Let's continue.
And there's people who believe the absolute opposite. So once again, it depends who you're talking to. It's a subjective conversation. There's no black and white in the world. There's areas of gray, and that's how it is. So I thought you were talking about another video where I was saying that ISIS is standing up and fighting for what they believe in. I'm not saying what they believe in is right, but that's what they were fighting for at the time. And it was a completely different video than the one you were actually referencing.
But you would condemn them now?
I don't condemn anybody doing anything bad to anybody. I'm not a person out here with a criminal record. I don't hurt anyone. I just spent my first segment on this show talking about how I believe in law and order and how important that is. I think people can operate inside of their lives safely and walk around, man, woman, child, can walk around in safety in any city they live in. Yeah. How that law and order is constructed is not my
business.
Jurisdiction. I'm not in charge of the law and order of Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, any of them. It's nothing to do with me.
I want to talk to you after the break about masculinity. Why is it that so many young men gravitate to you? What is your view of what it takes to be a man? Welcome back to this special edition of Piers Morgan Uncensored with Andrew Tate, one-on-one. So Ash Sarkar, who's a lively contributor to this program, has tweeted, Andrew Tate, who you're interviewing about free speech, thinks women are a man's property. We shouldn't be allowed to drive, boasts about only dating teenagers to imprint on them. Misogynists are discussing whether they're in Afghanistan or a swanky London studio.
Am I a misogynist, am I? I don't think, first of the things she said, I don't even truly believe. If you're prepared to listen to me, I'll explain to you exactly why she's completely and utterly wrong. If you can go through the points again, she said.
Do you think you're a misogynist?
Absolutely not.
No.
I'm not a misogynist on any level. This is
here.
one of those buzzwords they just throw at people randomly. Homophobic, racist, misogynist, they just throw it out at people.
What is your view of women?
Let me tell you something, right? When you're a masculine man and you set principles down for the women that are in your life, they will call you a misogynist. It is what it is. If I'm a misogynist, let me be a professional misogynist. I don't care. But in a relationship, when it comes to myself and the woman, a woman has to respect me as the man. Right? There's no two ways about it, and that's how Tate feels. That's how most men feel, but they don't have the ability to express it because they're nervous. That if they tell their woman the truth, she's going to want to leave them. If she wants to leave you off of you telling her the truth, then she was never for you, brother. That's the truth. Well, let's continue.
I'm a realist.
What is your real view of women?
I absolutely not really love women. I adore women. I have good relationships with women. Not a single woman has come up to me on the street since I've been canceled. Not a single one has said anything negative. Every single one of them has said positive things. You're a traditional male. I wish more men were like you. You understand your masculine roles. You understand what you're supposed to do. You understand you're supposed to protect women. You're exactly the kind of man I'd be looking for. I've never had a negative interaction with a female ever since I've been dubbed the biggest misogynist in the world. Please let me finish. I'm sorry, Piers. Also, there's not been a single woman who's accused me of a crime. Not a single woman who's accused me of rape. Not a single woman who's come out and said anything from my entire past of 36 years I've done anything wrong ever. Anybody else with my level of fame, any footballer, any other movie star, at least has people who've come out and accused them of rape, X, Y, Z. I have no woman who's come out and ever said I've hurt her. No woman who's come out and ever said I've done damage to her or been horrible to her. Everybody who ever interacted with me has said I've been a nice person. All of them. So this random Twitter nobody who seems to know so much is full of.
All right, you've responded to her tweet.
Yeah, she's a liar.
But here's where is the line for you between masculinity, which I will always defend, and which I agree with? I think a lot of women like men. to
Piers,
be
are you masculine?
And what has become known as toxic masculinity. And the reason I ask you is that you are engaged in that debate with men all the time. Where is the line for you where men shouldn't cross, where the behavior should be kept within a line?
Please define toxic masculinity.
Well, you
Yes.
tell me what you think it crosses a line from being a masculine, good man to a bad man.
There's no such thing as too much
Toxic
masculinity. It's genuinely masculine. Genuine
Exactly.
masculinity is not out here to hurt people. It's absolutely the opposite. It's out here to protect. And when bad
Exactly.
things happen, they call traditionally masculine men. If you need
To
a
come and
firefighter,
defend them.
you need a masculine
Facts.
man. When you call the police because of the problem you have, you want masculine men. And as soon as a woman or a man is in trouble, when you look for backup, you look for masculine men. And masculine men have a duty to provide and protect those they care about. We have a duty to do things we don't feel like doing because we know we're supposed to do them. And that's why
Exactly.
we stayed in the Titanic and died. Those were masculine men.
Where did you get your views about this from?
This is what I grew up with. This is the family I
Exactly.
grew up around. And
Your
My
father,
dad.
your mother?
yeah,
both?
and the world I lived in. And I
Exactly.
think a lot of the things I'm saying now about masculinity and how people should act in the world, how the world should function, were considered completely normal and accepted by everybody only 20 years ago. I think the world's just lost its mind. For me to stand up and say a man should protect a woman now gets to be called a misogynist and
Exactly.
canceled. If I said that 10 years ago, everyone would say, duh.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
What's funny is, everyone who argues against me and says men shouldn't protect women, especially all the feminists, if they were with their boyfriend and a man broke into their house, guess who they'd expect to go downstairs?
The man.
Who do you think? Think they go themselves? Are they going to Afghanistan? No, we send men to do these things. So
Well,
all
we
of it's
send
garbage.
women. We send women in the armed forces too.
Guys, hold on 1 second. back to this, man. Let's get back. You know the vibes. All right, let's get back, guys. And guys, if you hear people making a lot of noise, my bad. I came back to spend Christmas with my family and stuff. So yeah, but okay, let's get back.
And utterly, completely correct. But by and large, traditionally, soldiers are men. Exceptions do not disprove the rule.
Well, it's not an exception. It's a fact that there are a lot of women now in the armed forces.
Correct. But if you were to take the average soldier, they are a male. If you're allowed to say who's a male and who isn't nowadays, I'm assuming their gender, I apologize. If you were to take the average soldier, they're a male, which means that exceptions are the female soldiers, which because there's a lower percent of them, a lower probability. Exceptions do not disprove the rules. Men do the fighting. Right now in Ukraine, men cannot leave. Women are allowed to leave because men have to fight in the front line and women are allowed to go to Dubai. That is how it is.
What do you say to young men who come to you for advice, who feel lost, who don't really know where they fit into society?
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you. You're only going to be cared about based on how useful you are. You have the chance to build yourself up and become a superhero if you're...
I'll even go further than that. And I'll say that as a man, you are born with value, but you have to build it, right? I think everybody's born with value. I won't say that you're not born with value as a man. I think that value is something that is innate within yourself, within your spirit, within your soul, but you have to cultivate it as you're getting older, right? Because when you're a young 18-year-old man, you're not going to really be given a lot of respect because you haven't built the value. You haven't made a lot of money. You haven't worked on your body. You haven't worked on your skincare, all those things, right? You haven't worked on how to, like, your relationships with women and your family. But as you get to 25, 30, 35, that's when it's really going to become eminent of your value. So it's definitely within you, but it's like planting a seed, right? When you're planting a seed and then from there you're trying to have that seed sprout up, you have to continue to cultivate it by planting it, watering it. Not continuously planting it, but you plant it one time, water it, continuously water it, make sure you give it fertilizer, all those things, and then it eventually ends up blossoming. That's your value. Let's continue.
prepared to do the hard work and be indefatigable enough to never quit. But if you're going to...
My unmatched purse capacity with sheer indefatigability makes me a sheer opponent in any human endeavor. Let's get it.
Stand around and wait for a handout, nobody's going to ever respect you. And I think that a lot of people have forgotten about how difficult and how competitive it is as a man. We're always in constant competition with each other. And it's your duty as a man to stand up and say, I want to be as important and strong and good-hearted and God-fearing as possible.
Facts.
And I need to work hard to achieve those things.
Dame Sheila Hancock says we've become too over-emotional as a society, crying
That's a
too
fact.
much about everything. Has she got a point?
She's completely right. And the dangerous thing about overly emotional men is that they're dangerous. They're genuinely dangerous. This is what's
Desperate
crazy.
men.
All these people who talk about toxic masculinity and how bad it is for men to be traditionally masculine. A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it is his duty to do them. He charges into the building because it is his duty. Not because he feels like it, because it is his duty. We're now teaching the new generation of men that they don't have duty and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel, and they don't have to act as a man should. Do you know what happens when you get men who just act how they feel? You
They're
get
women.
school shooters, you get violence, you get rapists. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not gonna hurt people. He's gonna sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's gonna be a good man who protects and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're gonna find a dangerous man. Sitting here telling men to cry more and act with their feelings and it's okay to feel this way, that way, etc., and have no self-control. That is why we have the problems we have.
Exactly.
Absolutely not wrong. So when they talk about toxic masculinity, they have it completely inversed on its head, completely not wrong. We need to be teaching stoicism. We need to be teaching young men to understand that the world is very, very difficult. It's hard to be a man. You're going to feel bad sometimes. You just suck it up and perform anyway. Not just sit there and cry your eyes out or blame other people.
Tough
or
being a
cop
woman
out.
too in modern society.
It's certainly tough being a woman, but I'm not a
Nothing but
woman,
facts.
so why would I speak on issues I do not understand? I'm a man.
You can feel an empathy for women.
I feel empathy, certainly, but I do not understand their issues.
See, a lot of men come up to me and they admire you. I've got to say, a lot of women I've spoken to don't admire. They think you represent misogyny. They
A
think
lot of women
when
are
they hear you not
brainwashed.
commit to saying the Taliban shouldn't be banning women from university education. Well, why can't he just say that's wrong?
Well, firstly, that's not my experience. I experience the absolute and utter opposite of that. Secondly, it's because it's a moral point I'm making. My moral point is I speak on things I understand. I speak on
Facts.
experiences I've had.
But
I
you
speak
believe in
on-
equality?
I speak, yes. I
Do
speak
you?
on, sure. I speak on subjects I know intimately. I do not feel qualified. I'm a realist, and I do not feel qualified to sit and discuss the gender laws in Afghanistan. I have not been to Afghanistan. I have not researched the subject thoroughly. I'm not going to sit here and say how the Taliban should be running their country. It's nothing
Exactly.
to
It's
do with
not our
me.
place.
I find it quite flattering, Piers, that although, I understand I'm monumentally influential, the most Google man on earth, etc., I find it very flattering that you think I have some kind of control over the domestic policy of Afghanistan. But I assure you I don't. I don't.
No,
so it's nothing to do with
I'm not asking you to have a view on having influence of a domestic policy. I'm sure the Taliban couldn't give a stuff what either of us say about it. It's just curious to me that it's an easy win for you to make women think you're not anti them, to say that when they're not given equality, as the women in Afghanistan clearly are not.
Equality is an American trait, bro. A Western trait. It's not for the whole world.
Unfair. We should all be able to agree that that is wrong.
Well,
no.
Certainly as a realist.
Even you, tough guy Andrew
It's
Tate.
not tough guy. I am a professional. As a professional, I can state that yes, it is not equal. Yes, it is not fair. That is obvious for anybody. I'm not saying those things are not true. What I'm saying is it's nothing to do with me.
Right, okay. But you made a concession you think is wrong then.
I said it's unequal and it's unfair.
Yeah, so wrong.
Well, perhaps.
Force yourself, Andrew.
No, perhaps it's wrong under certain moral guidelines, but under the moral guidelines which are currently in charge of the jurisdiction of Afghanistan, they don't believe it's wrong. It's nothing to do with me.
Well, then
I'm not going to sit here and tell other countries how to run their laws. I'm going to live in societies with laws I respect.
You know what? I'll take unfair and unequal.
Sure.
Because that's self-explanatory. We're going to have a game of chess in a minute after the break, because you are a very good chess player. I can hold my own with the chessboard. Your father was a chess international master, in fact. And we're going to have a 5-minute game of speed chess. Winner takes all, Mr. Tate. Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Andrew Tate is still here. Andrew's father was an American chess international master, and his son's pretty good at it too. Well, I can hold my own as my school chess champion. And with 5 minutes left on the programme, we're going to have a game of speed chess. Winner takes all. All right, well, you're white. Off you go.
It's racist.
Off we go. 5 minutes, go.
That's racist, Piers. Cancel Piers Morgan.
Okay.
Are you good, Piers?
Well,
are you going to destroy me?
Piers is about to lose.
Better than
Let's
you.
see.
Let's see, I guess, aren't we?
Okay. Let's be aggressive, shall we?
School chess champion, eh?
Mm-hmm. It's tense.
Certainly.
Lennox Lewis was better than you when I played him.
Was he?
Well, he beat me 39 times out of 40. Check.
Yeah, he is pretty good at the game, I heard.
Mm-hmm.
See.
Time to get aggressive.
I'm not even gonna watch chat. I don't even know how to play chess.
Chess masculinity.
Well, the world's been pretty aggressive with me lately, Piers, so I'm used to it. It's fine.
Okay.
Oops, apologize.
How long we got?
Why do you think the Queen...
3:45.
Why do you think the Queen gets to jump across the board and the King doesn't?
Because it's sexist.
The game of chess is sexist, but perhaps it reflects life, Piers. Haven't you ever thought that when you look at a yacht in Dubai...
You're running out of time. Stop stalling. I know what you're doing.
I'll just take your
Oh, God!
I'll just take your queen.
Damn it.
I was trying to give you a little speech there. You didn't want to listen to it.
No,
I was
I
trying to
didn't.
tell you when you see a yacht in Dubai, the girl just gets
crazy.
an Instagram invite, gets to jump right on board. She
So
gets
listen.
to run across the board and do whatever she wants, but the man has to get there a square at a time. The man had to buy that yacht. That's the difference between being a man and being a woman. That's why the Queen gets to do how she does.
A chivalrous man just always lets ladies go first.
Life.
I thought you were
and chess
masculine.
That's why I
reflect-
let you go first.
Life and chess reflect, Piers.
I've made a catastrophic error, but I'm bouncing back.
Let's see. I always accidentally take someone's chick.
3 minutes.
I don't even mean to. It's just like, oops.
You need to stop knocking my pieces over like some.
Doug.
Yeah, exactly. It's not getting in my head. They're talking to me saying you're getting in my head.
He's getting in your head.
How do you
Piers.
think chess
Let's
reflects
let's
life?
stop capping.
I think that it's all about strategy.
Correct.
That if you're good at chess, you can be good at pretty much anything because it's about thinking ahead, it's about planning, it's about relentless practice.
And you know what
Facts.
else is beautiful about chess? If you lose, somewhere you made a mistake. There is no luck.
Absolutely right.
In chess, even if it's the smallest mistake, somewhere it was your fault. It teaches absolute self-accountability, which
Yeah.
is something that we need a lot more of in the world today.
That is true.
And that's why chess is so important. You can take my knight if you want.
Okay.
You don't want it? Why
No,
don't you
you-
want my knight?
Because I'm playing a long game.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd want it. I'm going to leave it there in case you take it anyway.
Okay.
I'm going to go
because I know what you want me to do, and I'm not going to do it. Actually, I will do it now.
Okay, good. Check. 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 Check.
How long? I need to buy some time here. I need to buy some time. This is really playing well on radio, by the way.
I'll have that. Thank
Damn it!
Yeah, I thought you could hold your own, Piers. Come on, man. What are you doing?
I'm screwed. I'm screwed.
Don't say that,
How long have I
Piers.
got? 1
You need
minute
to
12.
Believe in yourself.
Oh, I never, ever give up.
Believe in yourself,
I
Piers.
do believe in myself, thank you.
Good. Self-belief is important.
I do believe in myself, but this has not gone well. You're quite good at chess, I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, in the chessboard of life, I've done pretty good. I've done okay. Check.
The question is, can you beat me in time? You've only got 50 seconds.
Check. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Let's see. Mate in 2, Piers. Yeah, you can have that. Doesn't matter. It's mate in 2. Check. Mate. Good game. Good game, sir.
Well played.
Thank you.
25 seconds away from safety. Okay, well, Andrew Tate, I'll give you something. You're good at chess.
Thank you.
You have
is
to
nice
be, you
at
just
chess.
beat me.
1,800
I know you're
ELO
internationally
Not
What
gonna
has
beat
chess
you.
taught you about life, quickly?
I can teach you a lot of things. Like I said about the queen being able to run around the board, the king having to move a square at a time, about the fact you need to think ahead, absolutely everything is your fault. But there is a saying, which is actually one of my favorite sayings in the world. It said, a well-played game of chess is a sign of a gentleman, but an expertly played game of chess is the sign of a wasted life. And it's kind of sad. It was
I
said
played
by
Lennox Lewis on Celebrity Apprentice 39 times out of 40 in America years ago. And he beat me 39 times out of 40, I mean. And I was amazed. He was taught by his mum. But he was all about the way he fought, the way he boxed, was all down to the way he played chess.
Yeah, chess.
It was all about looking ahead, getting ahead of your opponent, planning punches, you know, all that kind of thing.
Chess absolutely reflects life. And even I say this now in my business meetings with my team. A lot of the problem in the world today, especially with teams and businesses, et cetera, everyone wants to be the king. But if you want to have a team, if you want to have a side that wins, if you want to win a game of chess, everybody has to know their role and do their role effectively. There can be a king and a rook and a pawn and a bishop and a knight, and everyone does everything correctly. And when that happens, you have a very formidable board and you're hard to beat. And chess reflects life absolutely. It's something I do every single day.
What kind of man was your father?
He was the greatest man on the face of the planet. But luckily he had me, and now in the natural order of the universe, he is gone, and I am here, and I carry his name, and it is my duty
That's how it has to be, brother.
honor to him. And this is one of the greatest things about achievement, because achievement honors your ancestors. People talk about my father because of how successful I am, and people will talk about me into eternity, even after my death, because of how successful my son will be. This is the great thing about achievement. It's an honor to your ancestors.
What would he have made of your success, your father?
He would be extremely underwhelmed by it because he always expected it of me. I am Emory Andrew Tate III. I can do whatever I put my mind to. And he would be like, well, of course, you decided you wanted to become the most famous man on the planet. It took you a few months, of course.
Does your mother ever do what my mother does and occasionally go, I think you went too far there?
My mother has absolute trust in my abilities and capabilities. She says, be careful, do your best, but you are the most capable and competent man on the planet. And
That wasn't the question.
That's what she says. She says, be careful.
Does she ever say you shouldn't have said that?
Nah, she knows better than that.
Really?
No, never. She says, just be careful. You know what you're doing. It's kind of hard to argue against me, and this is what my haters seem to struggle with. It's hard to argue against a person who is monumentally successful.
His mother's wise for that, because at the end of the day, every son needs a mother that supports him 100%. Facts.
Successful in every single human metric that can possibly be measured. This is why young men respect me so much.
But you ever tell your mother what to do?
They want to be my life.
You ever tell her what to do?
I don't need to. She's a full-grown woman.
Would you ever tell her what to do?
I would give her my advice if she asked for it.
You say you
I'd give her my
can't leave the home, you can't drive, all those things you joke about? Or?
I'd give her my opinion. I would say perhaps you should move house now, or perhaps that's not safe, or yeah, I would absolutely, because I'm responsible for her safety. And when you're responsible for somebody's safety, you have an opinion, and you need to have a firm opinion on that subject. So completely. For any woman I am responsible for any woman I'm responsible for her safety, I will sit and say, that's an unsafe thing to do.
How much are you worth?
I'm a billionaire by now.
Dollars or pounds?
About dollars. We're not in pounds yet, but we'll get there soon.
So what to do?
Yeah, we have a little bit of work to do, but it's
Finally, I know
certainly
you don't know anything about football and care even less, but greatest of all time, Ronaldo or Messi?
they're both two very hardworking men. I have absolute respect for anybody on earth who dedicates
Facts.
themselves.
Shout out to Andrew Tate, man.
Andrew Tate.
All Guys, we're gonna move on to the next video, man. I hope y'all enjoyed that first video. Let's get into this next video. It's gonna be. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. It's going to be. Let's watch. Actually, let's get into. It's complicated, actually. It's complicated. Real quick. We'll watch a couple of minutes of this complicated. Let's get into it.
Would you agree that women are more complicated than men?
Yeah,
Facts.
I would.
Yeah, and the short answer, yes, in certain situations.
Are men too simple to understand women, or are women just too complex to be understood?
I think that men are too simple to understand women.
I think that women are too complex.
I just don't think men ask enough questions. Like, I think, like, women are very vulnerable. Like, I think most women I know, like, are going to tell you, like, yo, this is an issue. Like, fix this. Hello, hello, hello. And then, you know, I mean, what do they say? What's the statistics of divorce? Like, 80% of women? Like,
80% of women initiate the divorce, and then it's 1 out of 2 marriages end in divorce. Yeah.
like, you know, initiate divorces. And then men are like, oh, my God, I didn't know what happened. Like, bitch, your wife.
This is exactly why people like yourself are gonna have a hard time getting married because you're cussing. Like, not saying that it's a bad thing, but it's not the best thing. You need to come across as classy. You need to come across as a woman that deserves respect. Come on, bro. What are we doing? Oh, come on.
Wife was telling you for the past 12 years, like, what she needed, and you didn't do it. So,
Is it better to be complicated or to be simple?
Simple.
I think it's better to be complicated. Gives you depth.
Better to be complicated, but in the dating sense, probably better to be simple, easier to manipulate.
Why is it better to be complicated if it's harder to be understood?
Because when someone can understand you, they understand all those complex parts of you, and then I feel like you get a deeper connection.
Yeah?
Yeah, same here. I feel like there's more to dig into and more layers to uncover, but in the long run, it might not work out, but
Yeah.
Women often describe themselves as complicated, emotional, even crazy. Do you think women actually want to be understood?
Yes.
Wouldn't that hold them to a standard?
They kind of do, but they kind of don't. They want to be understood by the guys that they want to be understood by, basically.
It's complicated because we say like we want something, but then we just say that to make you feel like we want something else. Like when
But y'all
our
don't even
partners
know what
go out
y'all
to get some
want.
food, oh, we don't want any food. But as soon as you come back, you didn't get me anything.
See, women like that, I'm not gonna lie, you gotta go. You gotta go. I just don't want to. I just personally don't want to deal with it, man. Life is already stressful. You understand? Not saying for me personally. I mean, we all have levels of stress that we go through, but it's like life in general is stressful. We don't need all that. We don't. I'm sorry. If you tell me you don't want food, I'm not getting you food. If you want food, just say it. Keep it simple. Please keep it simple.
Yeah, so it's basically it is complicated.
If women were easily understood, wouldn't that hold them accountable?
Yes, yes,
Wouldn't that make it harder to manipulate?
yes.
Is there any better manipulation strategy than remaining an unidentifiable threat?
Guilt tripping. That always works.
That is the best tactic you can use, and that's a tactic they use all the time, definitely.
If you understand your woman and you understand why she say the shit she say, do the shit she do, then she can't manipulate you. But if
That's facts.
you don't understand why she do the shit she do,
Yep.
then she for sure gonna be able to run circles around you, manipulate you, all types of shit.
Facts.
You feel me? Especially if you're goofy.
Isn't it easier to manipulate
Brody actually might be red pill. That's good. He's wearing the red.
somebody if you can just claim that you're crazy and you...
yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of like when people are like, oh, I'm crazy because this zodiac sign. It's, you know, like, I was like this my whole life. Like, yeah, definitely. And I think some people can fall for it, but it's probably on the other person and be like, all right, I'm not dealing with this person's shit.
Would you want to live with or commit to someone who admits to being crazy?
No, because they're not willing to change. They're just accepting that they're crazy and I'm going to do crazy shit, so you should accept it. And
Why do so many women...
That's how most women like come. Like if you check most of these dating apps, bro, majority of these women will tell you, listen, I'm crazy take me as I am. I have can't even speak English, right? I have multiple children. Take me as I am. Why should I take you as I am, but you're not going to take me as a brokey who's fat and lives on my mom? Come on, what are we talking about?
Admit to being complicated, emotional, even crazy, and think that's acceptable behavior.
It's today's times. Like, people are just out of their minds nowadays. So it's like, it's accepted by everybody. It's glorified all over the place with media, music, TikTok, internet, Instagram, all that.
Facts.
That's what they've been all their life. You got to think like.
But I will say this though: any woman that comes across the right energy, right, the masculine energy, she's gonna submit to that. If she sees that man as a leader, she's gonna submit and she's gonna stop the nonsense. And if she doesn't, then she's gonna die alone. Shout out to Kevin Samuels.
That's just them. You feel me? They don't even. Women don't even understand themselves. Sometimes they do something, don't even understand why they did the shit.
I told you, Brody's red pill. He's red pill. He like you're not playing with him. Feel me?
How likely are women willing to accept men for just the way men are?
Not at all. A woman
Barely.
wants you to be how she wants you to be type shit.
Exactly.
You feel me?
So why should men accept women for just the way that women are?
Because we live in a double standard, misandrous society. Go, come on, bro.
Cause they women like shit. You can't live with them. You can't live without them. For real, for real.
I see it as a way.
All right, guys, let's get back to it.
Rare. It's very rare.
So why should men accept women for just the way that women are?
We shouldn't, but we do.
Who is more shallow, men or women?
Women for sure.
Shallow?
Can you define shallow? Like,
Shallow is you only go for looks. You don't look on the deeper surface.
oh,
But
shallow.
I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to say women, low key.
They are, because men don't care what kind of car women have. They don't care what kind of phone you have. They don't care where you live. Women, they kind of do. Like, they care what.
They're like, well, you're broke.
Like, are you broke? Are you made of money? Like,
is it good looking? Is it tall?
It's women. Women are more gold diggers than men, I would
Say
say.
it, but it's kind of us.
It depends on the context, because sexually, men are known to be more shallow, but materialistically, women are known to be more shallow. But are they? I mean, it really depends on the person, like Emma said.
Yeah, women more shallow for sure. They want attractive, successful, good in bed, money. They want you to do what they say. Men just want you to be pretty and come home.
Are women more shallow because they want too many things, or are men more shallow because they only want one thing?
Men, because they only want one thing.
What are your thoughts on the following expression? A woman wants one man to satisfy her every need, while a man wants every woman to satisfy his one need.
Wow.
That's a good
Wow,
question.
that's deep.
That's deep, right?
I don't know. I feel like if both of those are satisfied, then I guess it would make for a good relationship.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it's complicated to be taking like a couple of hours out of his day just to be writing down these questions. He'd be in a lab thinking about these questions before he asks them. I give him respect, bro.
But at the same time, I don't think that's possible.
Men want the cooch, but men want so much more. They want family. They want, all of that. But they're just not good at showing it. They just wanna show us that they want.
But I mean, wouldn't you say that men are often shamed for being shallow because they just want one thing?
But don't also women only want one thing?
Well, do women
want-
want
y'all
one
want
thing, or do
multiple
women
things.
want a lot of things?
Y'all want a lot of things. Y'all don't only want just to sleep with a man. You want him to wife you up. You want children. You want a big wedding. You want so many things. You want the time, attention, love, materialistic stuff. You want everything. And if he's not giving everything to you, it's like, well, if you're not giving me something, then somebody else is going to give it to me. It's like, bro, that's tough. I hate to be a man in that position. You feel me? That's why you have to continuously level up and make sure that you're the best man for the women or the woman that you're going to be with in every area. So if she decides to leave, she knows she can't do better than you. Feel me? But yeah.
Package.
Women want a man. Women want a family, a homemade.
In other words, women want the complete package. They want a man who's going to check all the boxes.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
does that make... Basically, what I'm curious about is, if men and women can both be shallow for completely different reasons, what does it mean to be shallow?
I think being shallow is just only seeing someone at surface level. And I think having preferences is just knowing what you like and what you don't like, and actually just having a high standard for yourself.
Let's say a man is only willing to find a girl attractive if she's blonde, has huge tits, kind of looks like a blow-up doll, right? Like, that's a little bit shallow. Or if a woman is only able to look at a man and be like, okay, abs, hot body, good hair, good teeth, like, I feel like that's a little bit shallow. But your preference, if it's...
Let's stop capping. Let's stop capping on here. Y'all women know that y'all will reject a man for a lot less than a man will reject you for. If he doesn't fit a certain narrative in your mind of what you perceive him to be, you're dubbing him. He's a dub to you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you're not even gonna take him seriously. So what are we really talking about? You understand? It is what it is, bro. Like, let's not cap on here.
If it's your preference of somebody who's like, okay, I prefer somebody who's on the fitter side. Doesn't mean that they have to have a full-on six-pack. It could just mean they take care of their body, they're going to the gym, they're working on themselves. I personally prefer dad bods and be like, daddy. That's
funny.
My
And she's capping about preferring dad bods, bro. Most girls prefer dudes in shape. Let's stop capping here.
preference. Little snuggle cuddle meat, that's what I like. So, yeah.
Are men more shallow for wanting attractive women, or are women more shallow for only wanting attractive and also successful men?
I think that depends who you talk to and your interpretation of that.
So women aren't shallow for expecting more?
I think everyone's a bit fucking shallow.
And in my previous relationships, I would say that they expect me to be the best version of myself, not just hot. You can get away with being just hot, but you want to be able to articulate yourself and have a conversation with the person, because otherwise the relationship doesn't go anywhere and it's really unlevel.
Being a successful man, right, means you make over 6 figures, you have a nice car, nice house, nice job, and being attractive. Okay, cool. Women want that, but that's not always going to bring you your happiness. And with men, because they only want a hot girl, again, that's not going to bring you your happiness, but it's not as shallow because, sure, men are very physical. They want something that's beautiful, and that's what's going to stimulate their mind. Women want some emotional type of connection.
I personally believe to be shallow is that you only looking on the surface. Like, hey, I think you're good looking. I think I can have sex with you and the sex is great. But we don't even have a deeper connection. We cannot even have a conversation. When we argue,
Facts.
it's really, really bad. Like, that's shallow. That's really just looking on the surface of a person, not knowing them for who they are.
I mean, I think like attraction is what initially brings you to someone, but really like personality, humor, emotional connection is what makes you stay around.
Do you think women have the privilege of being more picky because they have more options?
Potentially. I know some picky men though.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think women definitely have that privilege. You know, you go into a woman's Instagram messages and there's 100 men in there, but you know, a guy will be lucky if he hits up 100 girls and you know maybe 2 get back to him.
Why
At least
is it
she's
considered
based.
a woman's
That's good. She's
preference
based.
to reject a man based on height, but it's considered shallow if a man rejects a woman based on weight?
Is it though? I mean, okay, again, you're asking somebody who is very open. But yes, I do.
I mean, is that a double standard?
It is a double standard because, I mean, the short king movement, right?
What's the thing? What is called?
What is a short king movement? Is that for shorter dudes? I feel bad if that's the situation. You feel me?
Weight shaming?
Body shaming.
Body shaming?
Yeah, fat shaming.
So shouldn't height size be body shaming too?
Isn't it easier to change your weight than it is to change your height?
It is.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
would
If
it
you
be
shame-
more
if you shame
shallow
their
for
height,
women
that
to
is
reject
body
men
shaming.
based on height?
Yeah.
Why do dating apps ask about height but not weight when women have a height preference and men have a weight preference? Is that not a double standard?
Yeah, it is. I kind of feel like the dating apps are kind of like pushing that agenda.
They are.
Do you believe that anyone can be in anyone's league?
Yes.
No.
What does it mean to be out of somebody's league?
You're just not attracted to that type of person. Like, it can be personality-wise.
I think anybody can be in anybody's league. It's because the thing is that you'll mainly hear girls that will say that a dude is out of their league. But if that dude self-improves and becomes a dude that is worthy of being quote unquote in her league, she has to bow down to that man now. That's why I don't believe it's impossible. Now, is it likely? Probably not, but I believe that it's possible for sure. And anybody can be in anybody's league.
Physically or status, it's just you're not attracted to that kind of person at all. So
What is pansexual?
I have no idea.
Let me not even say it.
So I don't know the actual definition, but for me, I feel like it means like you love everything and are attracted to everything. You're attracted to a man, to a woman, to somebody who's transgender, like
It essentially
everyone.
means you can be attracted to anybody regardless of gender.
Of gender. Okay, so I kind of got that right? Okay.
Would you assume that pansexuals are the least shallow?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
If you're not pansexual, does that mean that you are shallow?
I'm not sure. I don't completely understand pansexuals, so
What's the difference between pansexual and bisexual?
Interesting.
I've been asking myself that for years. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't know. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. To me, I don't know. I might be wrong.
Wait, when you say you've been asking yourself that for years, are you trying to say that you're like, I don't want to assume here, but are you gay or are you bisexual or potentially pansexual? And if that's the case, I don't know what to tell you, brother. I don't know what to tell you.
I might be getting canceled for that. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
based on what you said, pansexual is like being attracted to all kinds of gender, including non-binary and people who fall
What is a non-binary?
outside of the gender. But bisexual is being attracted to people who identify as either male or female.
Do you think sexuality for women is more mental and emotional for women than men?
Absolutely. Yes. I feel like if I'm not in the right mindset, I will not orgasm for the life of me. You can try and you can try and you can try and it will not happen.
So wouldn't that mean that women are more likely to be pansexual than men are?
Absolutely. Yes. I feel like sometimes I got my euphoric experience from somebody who is not a man. And that's totally fine.
Should a man be expected to love a woman for who she is if a woman only loves a man for what he provides?
No, double standard. That's not cool. That's not cool.
No, No, they should
Reality is
both
based
love
off
each
of
other
double
for
standards,
who
though,
they are. And I mean, sometimes it depends on the age and the dating. Like, some young women only want men for what they have, but like if they're really serious, then it should be for who they are.
Who is more delusional? The average man holding out for the lingerie model or the average woman holding out for the rich alpha male?
I think the average male that's waiting on a lingerie model.
The average man holding out for the lingerie model, because lingerie model ain't the average woman. You can't be, you feel me?
But can't the man improve himself to the point where he can attract most of the lingerie
Yeah,
women?
he for sure can. He got to get on
Yeah,
his
he can,
shit.
definitely.
Yes, he can, actually.
So wouldn't that mean that men are better at self-improvement than women?
Yes.
You're right. You're right. He can. Because to women, like those things like how a man looks physically, I guess if he is, you know, if he has money, if he has status, then most women are okay with that. Like he doesn't have to be very attractive. So yeah, I mean, it could be kind of equal.
So wouldn't that also mean that men are better at self-improvement than women?
For sure. A woman think just because she a woman, that's all she need to have to the table. A man really got to go out there and better himself, better him life, get a car, get a house, get a career. You feel me? So a man for sure go better himself before a woman do.
That's
a
a
woman
fact.
wants one man to satisfy her every need, while a man wants every woman to satisfy his one
There's
need.
one need.
That's true. That's true. That's true to some extent. It's not all the way true, but it's mostly true, yeah.
Every woman to satisfy his one need.
Ooh. That sound accurate, though. I'm going to keep it real. That sound real accurate.
Why does a society that tells a man he doesn't deserve a woman when he's broke have any right to tell that man he only deserves one woman when he's rich?
It's double standard. It's like
There's
they
so many
want
double
you
standards.
to be down here, right?
Exactly. They want you to be weak as a man. They don't want you to have any opinion.
And then when you get up here, they don't want you to enjoy the fruits of your labor or what you've
Facts.
done or the success
Facts.
that comes or the accoutrements that come with being successful. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if a man, you know, if he's living his best life and making all this money and he wants to be a playboy, like do what you want to do.
Let him live his
I think
life,
people's
feel me?
biggest issue with that is like men want this, like, oh, we want this one woman to be loyal and to come home to and that loves us, you know, unconditionally no matter what, but I also want to go live this double life. I think that's people's biggest issue with men. But if they were honest, I think it would be a totally different story.
Yeah, the problem is that people are not honest. That's fair. All right, we're not. Yeah, shout out to This Complicated though. Hold on. All right, guys, we're gonna move on to the next video. Feel me? Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next video. All right, let's move on, guys. Let's watch a little bit of Abba and Preach, and then from there we'll move on. Let's see this one.
So, what are you? So I can call you sir or ma'am. What are you? What would you assume looking at me?
No! 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 You're not doing this!
If they call you sir, I don't know what they did then. Because they saw the name on my credit card and they were not being nice people. Well, I mean, they saw your name on the credit card. What do you want? What do you want them to tell you? That has nothing to do with it. There could be someone in the back that they don't see. That's paying. Okay, ma'am. So why would they intentionally do that? Can you tell me what your location has done to be trans-competent?
Competent.
You said trans-competent?
Competent.
Oh man,
I think it's competent.
you can't make this up.
Is that
You
because
can't
the
make this
person is
up. You
trans?
can't make
Yeah.
this up.
So
No,
I guess
but if
they gave him a name, and the name was like James Corden.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Hello, sir," and they're like, "Actually, it's ma'am." And now they're mad about the fact they were.
No, because we're covering this.
That's crazy.
Dude. This man almost killed me, man. No, she almost killed me. It's not bad. It's just the way you looked at me. The disgust in your face. You said, no, we really can't.
Okay? Like I tell you, we don't discriminate anybody in here. Okay? I'm so sorry if you feel discriminated. No. It's not that I feel, it's that I was.
It's not that I feel?
Against. I would like you.
I would like you. That's tough. That's tough. Listen, that's tough. For me, that's actually tough. Transcompetent. What is that? Like, bro, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up.
To promise me. No.
You're done.
No. Sorry.
You're done.
That's what it is. That's
You're
it.
done.
End of story. Move.
Feel me?
I would like to promise. I ain't got. What are you, my mom? Shit, I don't promise shit to my girlfriend. Who the fuck you think you are? Promise me that. Yeah, promise me to suck my dick. Shut the fuck up and get the fuck up and move on.
Listen, I think it's perfectly acceptable. If somebody gets whatever pronoun, just let them know. And then after that, if they correct it, whatever, just move on.
Exactly,
but
move
sitting here
on.
yelling with these people.
Promise me.
It just does more damage to whatever you have. It's just a waste
Exactly.
of time.
I already went way over.
They apologize, and you still push it.
Yeah.
Then it looks like, okay, this is something more than what it needs to be.
That's the thing.
They apologize. Keep it pushing.
That is everybody, every community that's been ostracized, that's been
Demoralized, stuff
you're
like
gonna
that.
feel some type of way,
Facts.
and when things are gonna happen, you're gonna do a little bit more. That happens with black people and racism. That happened with big people, with fat people. That happened with trans people. That happened with gays. That person says sorry. Hey, sorry. But then that's not enough. You want more. No, I want you to promise. Okay, now that you promised, I want you to get down.
You know, yeah. The thing is that this is exactly why when you say certain things, especially as a man, you got to stand on it. Now, in this situation, obviously, yes, he has a job, and he obviously doesn't want to lose his job. But I bet you if he were to go explain the situation to his manager, he would be fine. All he has to tell them is that he's being harassed, right? Defend yourself as much as you possibly can. You understand? On the other hand, don't apologize to those people. They know what they're doing. It's not even all about being trans or whatever. It's just about having respect to stand on what you said as a man. Don't feel bad, right? Later on down the line, if you eventually end up feeling a way about what you said, if you want to apologize, you can, but I would advise you to say that I was younger, I made a mistake, and I'm trying to move past it. Because we have this conceived notion now, or preconceived notion, that if there are certain things that you said in the past that are wrong, that you shouldn't be able to move forward and say that I was younger and I made a mistake. Come on, bro. We got to do better.
Down on your knees and tell me pretty please.
Yeah.
That's
doing
never
that.
enough at some point. And I know my community went through that shit. We went through that shit. We were doing the most sometimes. And I was like, yo, this is not solving anything right now. And the person said sorry, move on, or never shop there again. Vote and make people decide with your dollars. Once someone is gonna realize that you're not spending so much money on a place, they're gonna change their ways and that's it. Yeah, it's gonna be for the money. Sometimes that's how you get people to change their mind. Yup. Crazy, isn't it? I know. Fucked up, isn't it? But I want it to come from them. Yeah, but you cannot decide that for someone.
Exactly.
Let's keep it a stack. If you got a name like James Corden, people are gonna assume you're a sir.
And if you do not understand that, I got a friend.
Wait, so their name is James? Yeah, I'm gonna assume. This is the problem, right? It's the problem in the society. When you tend to speak the truth about certain situations or say whatever you believe is the truth, not even whatever you believe is the truth. Let me take that back, right? You're going to be shamed regardless of what you say if it doesn't go against or if it doesn't go towards the norm, right? Which is the wokey left BS, right? You have to be able to stand on what you said and live through the reality of it, right? And this is the thing. Even in that same situation, even in that same circumstance, right? it will be the situation that, let's just say, for example, their name is James, right? In this situation, you're gonna assume that it's a man. We all make assumptions about everybody. The minute you look at me and you see me, you're making an assumption about me off rip, and I'm doing the same with you. So it is what it is. But you know what the sad part is, woke family? You know what the sad thing is, chat? There are certain places you can go to in this world, and if you misgender somebody and say that they're a he, her, or they're a her instead of a rabbit, or a her instead of a sheep, you can go to jail. If she says that she wants to identify as a sheep, you have to identify her as hello sheep instead of hello ma'am, or hello he, her. Like, what are we talking about, bro?
I got a friend, she's a girl. Her name is Fred. Yeah, their parents named her Frederick. You cannot be Frederick. You cannot be mad that your name is Fred and people think or assume that you're a guy. If you don't understand that, then you're being a bit disingenuous.
Facts.
You're
Facts.
you're not being
Not being honest with yourself.
Real with yourself right now.
Facts.
Come on now, B.
That you will stop treating trans people this way.
You can't make this up, bro.
How I'm treating you? I'm treating you bad? And I'm doing your staff. Did you name it the credit card?
The one thing that I like that this brother did is that he at least was recording the altercation. Because next thing you know, she tries to go report him and get him fired. He has evidence. Perfect.
It's a feminine name? No. Exactly. They're not discriminating. Yes. No, they are.
They're not. Coming from a store, you get the reason why a store clerk is gonna ask you for is because they get frauded a lot. That's it. It's monetary. And it's not trans or whatever. Most motherfuckers don't care. Yo, your name don't match. We get frauds out here. We want to see if it match. They're gonna sometimes ask you for ID. That's it. That's it. You try to make a thing out of a thing that's not a thing.
Exactly.
My sexuality, whatever it is, and I feel confident of who I am. I'm not talking about sexuality. That's what you're just telling me. You don't even know what we're talking about. So how?
She's trying to guess. Isn't it? No, my bad. His name is James, right? Even though he's trans, he's a man. All right. He's trying to gaslight her. All right, my bad. He is trying to gaslight the other man. The trans man or trans woman, right, is trying to gaslight the straight man. That's crazy.
How can you tell me I don't know what I'm talking about? We're talking about gender identity. You're talking about sexuality. Okay, to me,
She's chatting, or he's chatting right now.
I'm a male. Okay? Okay. So, what are you? So I can call you a sir or ma'am. What are you? What would you assume looking at me?
Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh. All right, bro.
Oh, no! 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 You're not doing this! No! No!
So you're asking
that's a
him.
trap. That's a trap!
He asked you what you would prefer, and then you asked him, "What do I?"
What would you
look like?
assume?
Jesus fucking Christ.
What would you assume I look like?
What he's gonna
Bro,
answer,
you can't make
he'll be
this
like,
up.
Oh, you're a fucking bigot? If you don't get the fuck out of here, bruv. If you do not take all your shit, all them pictures, the plaques, this motherfucking shit right here, and get the fuck out of here. See, that's why I'm like, I don't want to cover this shit. Because I could smell, I could feel how dumb that shit was. This shit is a whole
This shit right here?
This shit right here? Right here, this shit, my nigga? This shit right here, this shit? Right here, this shit right here is a whole ass setup, my dude.
Let's go.
What are you? What would you assume looking at me? I assume that you're a man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
No comment.
Oh,
Hey, listen.
nigga.
Hey, listen, my girl. That reveal did not. I don't think you thought you're like, hey, you active.
She thought she ate that. My bad. He thought he ate that.
Invaded my trap card.
Everybody.
That was your trap card.
Everybody's going to jail. Everybody's going to the hell right now. Cause shit. I'm not looking. I already looked once.
All right, let's
I'm not doing. I'm not doing
Let's
this.
listen. This is what I'm saying. Who cares what people believe? Just ask them what if they ask you, what do you want me to call you? Just tell them so they can call you what you want to be called. And let's keep it pushing. Stop trying to change everybody's mind. Stop trying to make people.
That's the problem with the woke mentality, bro. It's come to destroy. We need Jesus, bro.
See, hey, listen. No. That's a no. That's just, it's not happening.
You know what pisses me off? Is that that's not the majority of trans people.
Absolutely.
That's not the majority of trans.
I don't know, bro, because I can't speak on it for me.
Absolutely.
There's and that's the fucked up thing is that there's a couple of people like that derail the whole discussion, the real discussion that we're supposed to have, and derail what's really going on and makes everybody in that category look bad. True. That's not all trans people. That's not them. Not all men, not all trans.
Also, I think a lot of folks are online all the time, and so they expect everybody to be like up to date on all this lingo and everything else happening, and it's just not the case.
Yep.
I go to most of my friends, if I go to people in my family, like none of these people know about any of this stuff. So if I would have asked them, what does this person look like to y'all, they would have probably said something similar. So you have to understand where people are at with this conversation, and coming at it from any other perspective is a losing battle because you're convinced the world is supposed to be the one.
I'm not gonna lie, America is probably one of the only countries, bro, where you'll actually see people switching genders, bro. If you go to any other country or majority of other countries, bro, you don't see stuff like that because it's haram. There's a reason why they try to stay away from it, bro. Man, may God help America.
One way based off your online interactions or whatever the fuck it might be. Reality is just completely different. Like I said, this person is actually far more progressive than a lot of other people I know. Because this person said, what would you like to be called? And instead of just telling them what you want and then they can do it,
you try to do a whole switch.
You try to get to the root of like what they think and everything else. Like, yo, just keep it pushing, bro. I'm not out here talking to store clerks trying to solve their internal race. Like, it is what it is. Just be respectful of me when I'm in your store, and I'll be respectful of you. And I don't need to know all your fucking personal views. I don't even need you to agree with me.
Exactly.
Let's just get this shit right. I'm not here to go send you to sensitivity training. That's not what here. Do your transactions and bitch be gone. If somebody got your pronoun, whatever, wrong because your name is James Corden or whatever the fuck it is. Like,
why do you keep on bringing James Corden?
I don't know. That's just the name.
Why are you trying to bring James Corden into this shit?
Hey, man, listen. He's stealing jokes. We're stealing his name.
Wow.
He stole Ricky Gervais. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, just keep it pushing. Like, I don't get this one.
You know what's fucked up?
And then she did the whole face reveal and how like, bro, that shit did not work in your face.
Yeah, he thought he ate that.
Just do your transaction, and I was like, well, technically that was a transaction.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Stop.
Maybe
Stop.
you guys won't appreciate that one. Folks got mad at me last time when I didn't appreciate your joke. The beat around the bush one.
Oh, that's not even okay. Can we explain that one? That's not a joke. That's just me talking. That's how I talk. He can't always stop at every dumb shit I say. You have to understand, once this camera is off, I continue to say dumb shit. And we work together. So he's there for that, right? So there's sometimes he's like,
all right, bro. All right, guys, listen, man. This is gonna be the end of this live stream. If y'all like this live stream, make sure y'all go spam that like button, leave comments. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel at WokeEbucks, WOKEEBUKS. Tap the notification bell to get all the latest videos that I post. Patreon link will be down in the description below and so will social media links. So make sure you go get those in check. Without further ado, this is going to end this live stream. This is WokeEbucks.